Okay. Alrighty, here we go.
All right.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name's Lauren. I'm from Squash, Ontario. We have Chris from Squash, Ontario as well. This is the Junior Athlete Pathways within our club's presentation. We have Jim and Jess from the Granite Club on with us. Al from ORC will be joining us shortly. So we're going to have both of these guys just give an overview of their junior program pathway, the programs that they have, how they have kids go into tournaments, and a bunch of other stuff as we go along. So I'm going to have Jim and Jess start. So if you guys can just introduce yourselves, tell us a bit about the Granite Club and your junior programming, and then we'll have
Oh,
Al go next.
all right. Thank you, Lauren. Thanks for having us. I'm here with Jess. And yeah, the Granite, we've had a great run the last 25 years or so. So many national and provincial champs. And right now, every tournament, the Granite dominates with numbers. So we've really been successful getting kids out and playing a lot of tournaments. And it's a numbers game. The more kids you get playing, you're going to get a few champs along the way. But you wanted to, we get the question that, how do we get so many kids playing in tournaments? And number one thing is you got to have a Munchkin program. We started years ago with a Munchkin program that was a half-hour class. We had, I think, 2 a week. Now we have 16 a week. So we have 16 half-hour Munchkin classes per week. Katie can handle 5 kids in that class. So what's that? 80,
like
80 munchkins.
3 to 6 year olds is a munchkin.
Yeah, 3 to 6 year olds. People are trying to get in at 2.5, 2 3/4. But we have that's the biggest wait list of all our programs, the munchkins. And a lot of it now, because it's been so successful, is a lot of word of mouth. But if you're starting a program at your club for 3 to 6 year olds, how do you do it? And that's sort of what you want us to explain. And first of all, you got to get the right person. Now, Katie was a squash tournament player out of the cricket club, so she played squash, but she also had an early childhood education degree. So anyone you can find that, I'd almost hire an ECE person before
sure.
a squash person and sort of teach them how to play squash. You can get both of them, it's a bonus for sure. And we've had a lot of different Munchkin pros over the years. I started it, just taught it. We've had a number of them, but Katie really is the one that she just loves teaching young kids, and she's so good at it. She can keep them in line, and she can keep it active. And so you got to start off with the right pro, and that's one of the other things. Then you got to market it. I know, we're fortunate enough to have a club of 10,000 members, but if you've only got a few hundred or something, how do you get it in? So you got to do some kind of marketing. To me, the best marketing pitch for Munchkin squash is that it is the best intro to racket sports. And I truly believe that, because you're enclosed, you're in a nice little room, you got sponge balls, you play badminton, the birdie doesn't bounce, you're on the tennis courts, the balls go everywhere. So it really is a great environment to learn racket sports. So if you can sell that to the parents, half-hour class, make the cost, pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the biggest things I think is that it should be half an hour. It is half an hour for us, but a lot of parents want it to be longer so they can go have a workout, but the kids don't have fun by the end of a longer class. And so you want them to leave wanting to come back. And so for us, 30 is 30 and that's all, so yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously we supply all the rackets, balls, and eye guards. So you make it easy. All your kid has to do is show up, clean shoes, off you go.
And that's not a big commitment because it's 5 rackets, 5 glasses. So it's an easy commitment to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got the Munchkin rackets, the 25 inchers. There's a number of eye guards now that are nice and small for that age, believe it or not. They fit them pretty well. And
Katie only uses the larger balls, right? The sponge
no,
balls.
no.
She's grown the program so much that now
Some of them
the
can
kids,
hit.
oh yeah, we have like 5 and 6 year olds that can hit balls, like the
single
Single dot, yeah, but also
The
that
thicker, the bigger ones?
the bigger one that's
Yeah.
not heavy. There's a bigger one that's not heavy. It's a Dunlop one, but
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a new Dunlop orange one,
Yeah.
you know, she's got all kinds of
she
balls
does
in her bag.
everything to the level of
Yeah.
the kid that's in her group.
Yeah, she's got orange balls, she's got sponge balls, she's got single yellows. And yeah, I mean, you know, where years and years ago, we were getting kids when they were 10-ish to join our recreational squash program. And, you know, some of them could serve. Now we're getting 6-year-olds. So our recreational program is now for 6 to 9-year-olds.
Mm.
Now she also has a Mighty Munchkin class, which is just for 5 and 6-year-olds. So those are for the better munchkins, maybe for some of the 6-year-olds that are just learning, they're not ready to go into the recreational program. We call it Squasher here at the Granite Club, the Squasher program. But yeah, you just got to make it a thing. And, you know, once the word gets out, you make it a thing and the kids are having fun. But, you know, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long
Takes
time
a long time.
and a lot of effort. And just being
How long ago
organized.
did Munchkin start?
Oh, I started it
40 years
30,
ago. Yeah.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
I guess.
You gotta
And I
be
can-
patient. You gotta be
Kimmy
patient.
Watts was one of my first students, Lauren, one of your adversaries.
My nemesis.
Your nemesis, Kimmy Watts. Yeah, she was great. Anyway, yeah, so then you gotta have the framework. So, you know, the kids just don't do munchkins and then move off to badminton or whatever. They, you know, gotta keep moving up, and we get the squashers. And then, of course, the word that all the parents love,
Oh, goodness.
high performance.
performance.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
And you just start a high performance and it's going to be a low performance if you're just starting. But that doesn't matter. You call it high performance.
they think they're high performance.
Oh, everybody wants in. And then as soon as they get in, as long as they can serve, which shouldn't, you know, take too long. And most of the kids learn how to serve pretty quick and rally, then you get them to sign a contract. And our contract is fair play. So if they act up or misbehave during a tournament, they will be suspended. But just as importantly for growing the game is when they make your high performance, low performance program, they have to play a certain number of tournaments. So for our player C, I think we have it at 3. I think we're going to up that. Players B, they have to play 5. Well, thanks, Mike. The other ones, they've got to play 8, or you can say whatever, you know, whatever number of tournaments. And then that's part of their commitment. They're going to play the tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, and it is actually good for their squash, but it also, you know, grows the game, obviously. And if they're playing tournaments, they also get engaged in the sport. So that also sort of hooks them a little bit.
Yes.
And the feeling that they're on some sort of team seems to be a thing as
Mhm.
well, right? They think they're on a team, which is great for an individual sport because a lot of kids need that or like that inclusion type stuff there.
Yeah, and you guys all know that from playing squash, the friendships that you make, right? As soon as you go to a tournament, the kids are usually hooked 100% right away after one tournament, you know, unless they had some kind of bad experience, but that's very rare. And Jessica's so right. Like our players A group that have been together now for so many years, what a great tight-knit group of friends we have. We're so lucky.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. The other thing I was thinking, the moving from munchkins to squashers thing, you know, having the framework is great, but being super attentive about relaying the framework to the parents, right? So it's always good if Katie's teaching a class, often Jimbo or I will be around, you know, and we can say to the parents, oh, you know, your kid's hitting the ball really well, and they would be a great fit moving into our squashers program next. And you know, they can look towards this in the future. So making sure to, and Jim's way better at it than I am, but just making sure to engage with the parents and they understand the pathway that exists. Because a
Yeah.
lot of them, we take it for granted. A lot of them don't know.
Well, yeah, and we have that in our activity guide, but a lot of the clubs, including the ORC, they have a beautiful sign up at the Ontario Racket Club showing the pathway of where the kids can go. And I always notice that at the different clubs. I'm pretty sure that's it was at the ORC. I saw a really nice one, but yeah, they've got to know which way to go. And you know, over there we've got a great sign now, play squash at university, and we now have about 65 kids up there that have gone on to play squash at schools in the US and Canada. So, you know, we've got a list of about 8 kids from Harvard and Yale, and Patrick Walford's at St. Lawrence right now. And Jilly is, you know, Jilly graduated, but Leah's still at Stanford. But anyway, it's pretty cool sign to have, when the parents see that. Oh,
I like it.
I'm sure
Whoa.
they do.
Mhm.
And then do you guys still do like a teen scene or teen like
teen fun,
anything
yes.
for the older kids that might not be as strong or something?
Yeah, we have a teen fun class, an hour every Tuesday. It's a tough demographic at most places, and we have about 10 teens in that. And just in the last few years, it's really taken off. And it's a really nice group of social kids, boys and girls that, really haven't played much, but now some of them are starting to play tournaments. Some of them actually went to Players U, but Tenley Demel, or Tenley Parsons, you're going to see her at some of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, our teen group is that group that we're talking about right now. It's just super social, and they mostly just play. They just want to play. They love three-corner court because they like the standing in line and chatting part. Like they like it. But we
Yep.
also have, which Jim didn't touch on, we have players C, B, and A. But then we also have a players U, which are older kids that are too old for the players B. Like they've grown out of
For
that.
university, that was
You
Jessica's idea. Love it.
a little bit, but yes, U for university. But yeah, so they come out of players B and they're not strong enough or not making the tryouts in players A, and so they move into players U. And that group is actually our second most intense training group, because they're older and we can do it later in the evening, so we can use some of those evening courts. And they go for an hour 40 twice a week as well. So it's only a little less than our Players A program. And so that's expanded that group of kids who almost didn't have a spot. It's all like the under 17 silver players, essentially. So we filled those tournaments that way.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just getting so big. So we have the 4 high performance programs, and then Jessica runs an extension of those on Friday and Saturday for extra training called the Elite.
Yeah, and those programs are just they are sadly they also need to be tryout based at this point because we just have too many kids wanting to do them. But basically what we do is we take the top 20 kids that are interested on Fridays and the top 20 that are interested on Saturdays. So it's a bit of a mix of A, B, and U. There's no B kids in Friday because most of the A kids will also do that. So that gives them 6 hours of sessions. And then the really good A kids also do Saturdays. So that gives them 8 hours of sessions. And then we have some B and U kids in there, which is nice for them to train with the A kids because they see, well, the A kids who train hard, they see their training ethic and all that kind of stuff. And also they, feel like part of that team too. So it merges all the groups together, and
It gives them more court time to train. Yeah.
more court time. Yeah, that's the other. Just finding spots where your club can give you 2-hour slots of court time, which we know is a hard thing for a lot of places. But that's why I started sort of a Friday evening program because it was a little bit of dead space here. And then I started the middle of Saturday afternoon, which was again dead space because all our recreational stuff finishes. And then we go into the high performance. So having a lot of options for high performance kids to train, keep them training at your club in your group, and then they go as a group and compete at the tournaments and enjoy it basically.
So I know we've kind of went off on a tangent a little bit with the high performance, but just getting back to the Munchkins, one of the secrets I think is, once you make it a thing, you can use the different balls, you can use balloons too if you want. We get little shirts for Munchkin Squash if you get a budget, but the most important thing of all with the Munchkin Squash, at the end of each, whatever you do, 6-week, 8-week, 10-week clinics, you have a big ice cream party and take lots of good photos.
That's a good one.
And they will come back when their parents ask them, which one do you want to sign up for? Oh, squash. It's a given.
Sure.
Ice cream.
Ice cream,
Yes.
Is that for the kids or for you, Jim?
Yeah, well, both maybe. I'll be there.
I thought so.
Jim likes a good ice cream party.
Yeah.
For
Hey.
sure.
Whatever keeps them coming back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, exactly.
Just thinking the other thing I think that helps get kids playing tournaments is you sitting with the kids and helping them do their annual training plans, right? So
Mhm.
obviously there's different levels of producing an annual training plan. With some kids, it's very specific which tournaments they need to participate in.
Yep.
But with some kids, like with the the younger kids and the younger parents, just sort of really saying to them, well, they should try this many sort of Grand Prix and maybe try this silver because it's close enough, and it'll get them trying something new, and sort of doing all those different reaching out to the parents with a real sort of plan gets tournaments even more on their wavelength.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, that was great. I think you covered a lot of stuff that I had written down for questions. So that's awesome. I mean, you guys are obviously in a great position where you have so many kids participating that you have to do tryouts for all these programs. But I'm
But
sure.
we haven't always been, though. That's a thing. Like
Yeah.
people, it's starting to be so commonplace that people are like, oh, it's because you have a lot of kids. But we didn't always. Like Jim started the program from 0, 38, 30, 40 years ago,
Yeah.
and it started from nothing, and our hard performance didn't exist, and it was Jimbo in a van, and you just got to grind for a bit at the start, and then all of a sudden it starts to work for itself. Now we're in the opposite dilemma where it does kind of break our heart to cut kids, but it doesn't start that way. Like you just gotta grind. It'll happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that was amazing. Chris, do you have any questions for Granite?
I don't think we've got any questions, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's just I think really the real like obviously I've seen how Granite works firsthand, and it's very impressive how that pyramid is so strong with start with the Munchkins, and there's always, I think, like you say, when there's a little bit like the elite groups where there's a little bit of crossover, so kids can always see they can always see the next level, and they can sometimes maybe every now and again they might get in court with someone who's in that next group up, and it just keeps them engaged, and the whole tournament, that team Granite thing at tournaments is really that kind of, it's the social aspect as well as it gets them hooked onto the game, and you can see it like quite clearly. That group of, especially the kids that are going to a lot of tournaments, they're all such good friends, and that's all because of the atmosphere that's created at the club. And I don't know if every club has that. I think it's really if you can create something like that, it makes a massive difference.
That's just a little bit of extra work, right? And listening to the kids' lives, and that's another thing we didn't touch on. Hiring great pros is huge, right? Because if you get pros who have the same vision as Jimbo and I, but as both of us, then the program keeps growing with that sort of fun base and team base, and then some serious sides too. That's whatever, but pros. Worth paying a little extra to get a better pro. It'll come back. Like I know it feels like it doesn't, but it comes back.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, thank you so much. I'm gonna have Al from ORC. He can unmute and welcome Al.
Yeah, I mean, I love
Squash
this.
and pickleball. If you can see
Yeah.
my name, this guy does it
Sorry.
all.
I should have changed it. There's a university kid that said changed his name to Reconnecting, so he doesn't have to go to meetings. It just shows reconnecting all the time.
So,
I
Al, introduce yourself. Tell us about ORC. Tell us about your programming.
Yeah, my name is Alan Cook. I've been at the ORC now about 13 years. Before that, I was up in the Northwest Territories for about 13 years as well. Listening to Jim and Jess speak, I mean, a lot of similar stuff. I mean, I'd love to talk to them a lot more, but obviously we're all busy in our programming. But same thing, like I started in the Northwest Territories with no kids playing squash and grinded away in the schools for 3 years, just grinded, hitting the grade 3s and 4s and 5s, and slowly but surely you start building a program, and then like Jess says, it just starts feeding on itself. Same thing here. I started here in 2013, and we only had sort of a few silver kids, I guess now, and then a couple gold kids. And the glaring thing for me was we didn't have any younger kids playing squash. We didn't have any 5 or 6 year olds or 7 year olds. And so by the time you got kids, they're all 9 and 10. And it's sort of hard to develop a big program with kids starting at 9 or 10 or 11. So same thing, we had a beginner 1 and 2 programs, and it was all sort of fun, taping bags of chips to the wall, putting Coke, cups of Coke or whatever on the floor, and plastic cups for them to hit, like just lots of fun things for them to do. And then you have 2 or 3 come back, and it slowly it starts progressing, and now we have quite a few kids that are coming through that program and getting into our silver program at 7 or 8 that can already serve and already get into the programming and tournaments. And so yeah, it slowly progresses. I mean, we're not at the level of Granite, obviously, but similar ideas, right? We get a lot of buy-in from our members too. Like, I've had to fight members on court times a little bit, but our members now buy in because they see the program sort of developing, and they see our kids having some success. A lot of our we allow some of our members to sign up for some of our junior programming, the adult members, just because our numbers aren't as high, but it's great to have a few members come out and train with the kids, and it gives them hitting partners when we don't have the kids at the right level to keep those them interested in our club, and it keeps them from going elsewhere. So that's been a big success. And the other one is just like they said, communication, having a structure for them, and the parents feel like there's some structure in place for the kids to go, right? We have an autofill assessment sheet that we do with the parents, and they love that, where they don't know it's an autofill, but we fill it out and say, hey, yeah, your kid needs to improve on this or that. And they love having that, right? They love seeing that their Johnny's improving and going somewhere. So that's huge for us. And then it's just the same stuff Granite does, right? You buy some shirts for the kids. They love going to tournaments and wearing the same stuff and seeing other kids from the ORC. We've tried teen groups. That kind of goes up and down depending on who signs up. It's really difficult, and that's something we're always sort of building with. I mean, we hired another female pro this year to take over sort of our munchkin groups or our beginner ones. And she so far has been excellent. She does some of our women programming too, but yeah, she's very, very good. She's a teacher, Reese McLean. She's got a teaching degree, so she's awesome with kids. Like, you just give her kids and away she goes. And as long as the kids, I mean, again, it's all from the base. Like, if you don't have a base, you don't have a program, and you have to have a good base with younger kids and have it accessible, have the commitment level in terms of financing and time relatively easy at the beginning, and get the kids excited, right? We have a pizza party after our sessions, and they take pictures, and the kids eat pizza and I eat pizza, and it's super fun, right? And
Pizza
then
party, ice cream party.
yeah, it's the same idea, right? It's just not at the same height, but it is building, right? Like, COVID
Yeah.
kind of hit us a little bit, but now we're back up to like 60, 70 kids in our program. And we're starting to have problems with, we can't get enough courts for 23 kids that want to come to a program. So now, we have this issue with those kind of things. And so now we're developing that. But the biggest thing is a member buy-in, get members out to participate in the program. It helps get more courts because you get certain members that are influential. It does help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then just creating that community. And also, we're just working on redoing our entire area to create an area that we can show all the kids that go off to university from our program.
Mm-hmm.
And then other kids see that history, right? They come in, they see, Amal Azar is off to Columbia, Ali Shalby's off to U of T, and like all these little things you don't think it's a big deal, but for an 8-year-old, that's a big deal for them, and for parents, it's a huge deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny, all the little things you don't think is important, it's super important to the kids.
Are any of your programs I mean, I know the Granite Touch Bond, they have them play like minimum amounts of tournaments. Do you do anything like that? Or is it just like you're just telling the kids they should be playing XYZ and you leave it kind of to them?
Right now we're getting now into the stage where we're saying, if you want to play in the silver program, you need to play, at least 2 tournaments in each season. So the fall and the winter.
Yeah.
It's hard because you deal with a member that's paying to be a member of your club and wanting to enter a program and paying for that program, and then you demand that they have to do this. And a lot of members are like, I don't want to do that. I want to just enter the
totally.
program and not play in the tournaments. And so there's a financial balance that you have to weigh as well.
Yeah.
So when you do get high numbers, you can now create a new program that's specific to these requirements. And so you have your base programs for all your members, and then you have your special programs that you've created that you can control a little bit more and say, sorry, you can't enter this program because you have to do this, you have to fulfill this.
Right.
Which gets easier when you have a lot of kids starting, if you have 30 kids under the age of 6, well, now you're going to get 15 by the time later, and you can determine where they go, so you can control it a lot more.
Yeah. Okay, great. And I know you
makes
you
sense.
said with Reese's program, she's doing like obviously a lot of fun stuff, but is she like with the age that she's doing, I assume she's using like bouncier balls or bigger balls? Like,
Yeah, we have the Dunlop, the three, the orange and the green and the red as well. Those mini balls, they're everybody tries to
Yep.
buy them, but you have to go to Dunlop to get them. So it's
Yeah.
kind of nice. We also use the Caracal Red Dot. We use that a lot. That's a good bouncy ball and it's the same size. And some kids are like, I want to play the black ball because it's black and it's super, super bouncy, and it's really, really it's almost better than the blue dot.
Yep.
The problem with I find with using the faster balls is sometimes you get some kids that can just absolutely whale it, and
Yeah,
then it
some
gets a
that
little
can't.
dangerous sometimes. So it's you have to make sure you have the right person in the court that can control that, because it can get absolutely chaotic
Yeah.
if you get the wrong person in there and you don't have the right coach that can sort of stop that right away if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, totally. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Al. And then I know another thing that ORC does or has done in the past. I don't know if what the plan is for this season, but I know you have them play a lot in with like adults and like house leagues, and even in the
Yep.
past they've done like T&D, right? So
They have to play in our house league. All the kids in our high level have to play in the house league. We don't charge them for that, but they have to play in the house league because that gets them at least one match a week. And I've also found with our kids, if you don't schedule it, they won't do it. So you have to schedule the times for them to get on court and create times for them. Anybody that says, hey, here's your 2-hour training sessions per week on these 2 days, 6 to 7 on Tuesday, 6 to 7 on Thursday, and you need to do 4 more hours. Well, they won't do that 4 hours.
yeah.
You have to schedule it, then they will do it. And then, or they'll go somewhere else and do it. So you need to make sure you have the stuff scheduled for them to do.
Yeah.
So they have to play in house league. They have to come to our Saturday training program, which we run from 11:20 to 1 or 1:20, 11:20, 1:20, somewhere in there. Or they're playing in a tournament somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. I mean, you guys have both touched upon a lot. And we've obviously seen how your programs translate to our tournament circuits and the success you guys have had. So the idea of pre-recording this is obviously there's never a good time to have as many people on. People want to do this stuff on their own time. So we are recording right now. So once we stop this, this link will get sent to all of our member clubs. So pros, managers, and I think this is the kind of information that might help a lot of the clubs that don't have, the pathway and the programming setup that you guys have. So thank you guys. If there's anything that we didn't ask you or anything else that's coming in your head that we missed, feel free to let us know. But
I just a quick thing, like a lot of pros, squash pros, aren't in the position that some of us are in, where we get, remunerated at a certain level. But if you're a new pro to the game, you have to grind and be willing to give your time for a while. Right? Like if you're not getting paid right away, just grind away at these junior programs, because eventually these junior programs will pay off, and it won't take long, right? 6 months of grinding away and your program will blossom. Anybody that says squash is suffering in Ontario or anywhere I think they're incorrect. I think this is a great game, and you have a massive amount of parents that love to put their kids into a hand-eye coordination game, and they will stick with it. They will love it if you just build it. They will play.
Yeah, I just wanted to also add, it's the same thing with, well, right now, first of all, also we should be jumping on the Olympics thing, right? Like really
LA
promoting the fact
28.
that we just got in the Olympics. Like if now's not the time for squash to grow, then we've got a problem. And
Mhm.
then the other thing is, I know a lot of young, you mentioned young coaches, Al, or newer coaches, sorry. They come in and they just want to teach the high performance kids. And I get it. That's my favorite too. But you've got to do it all to see how it all comes together. And also, you're not going to have the high performance kids unless you put the time in and grow the program from
The
zero.
grassroots,
And
yeah.
it's not like the best thing to be trying to steal high performance kids, because it doesn't end up working out. You need to have a program that builds into your own high performance kids who feel bonded to their friends and their coaches and
Absolutely.
their program.
Yeah, and not every kid that you coach is going to be like all these. I remember when I first started coaching, I'm like, oh, I'm going to take Jim Patton, and he's 7, and I'm going to make him a world champion, right? Like that's your idea, but in reality, you're lucky enough to get some of these kids that could become world champions, right? You got to teach everybody, and some of them might become a sponsor of a tournament later or a business person later. But you need to take all the kids and just let them have fun for a while. And then you can start all that other fun stuff that all coaches kind of want to do right away.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys so much for your time. And
Thank
we're
you.
gonna
Good luck to all
send
those
this
coaches
out.
out there. Have a great season, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon, I'm sure. Okay, thank you guys for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.